timeless entertainment for years and years and years. But which movie is truly the best? Honestly, it's so hard to pick just one because so many of them are just so damn good. That's why today's top 10 list is for the top 10 animated Disney movies. Again, this is just my opinion. Feel free to comment below what your favorite Disney movie is. But let's get started with number 10, Big Hero 6. Hello, I am Baymax, your personal healthcare companion. I love Baymax. He's so cute! Yeah, this is the first Disney movie to take a Marvel comic book and make it into an animated movie. And did it pay off? It certainly did. Concept works great for a Disney movie. It feels like a new and fun change for the Disney franchise. And while this movie has a fun superhero comic book line storyline to it, the film's strength lies in its characters. Baymax, Hiro Amada, Fred, Honey Lemon, Wasabi. All the characters are so fun, especially when they're all together. So many heartwarming moments and honestly quite a few tearjerkers in this one. But that's Disney for you, the happiest place on earth destined to make you cry your eyes out. But this movie has incredibly memorable characters, a beautiful setting that takes place in a hybrid of San Francisco and Tokyo, wonderfully creative, and enough badass superhero action to keep you entertained all the way through. Big Hero 6 is one you don't want to miss. Heart attack, clear. Number 9, Frozen. I'll get sued if I sing the song. Copyright infringement is a bitch. And literally, the entire world knows about this movie and either loves it or completely hates the fact that it's been unbelievably all over the place for the past 3 years. It's ridiculous how much attention this movie has gotten. Just people absolutely adore this movie, especially kids, and it's everywhere. With a sequel well on its way most likely, it's mind-blowing how everywhere this movie is. And honestly, at one point, this movie probably would have been higher up on my list because of its impact and how everywhere it is, it's just grown incredibly tired. It's cringeworthy just to see it everywhere. But who am I to kid myself? It's a great movie. And there's a reason it's everywhere, because it's beautiful. It is a wonderful piece of Disney animation. I think this movie is really, really good. And the songs are easily the most marketable thing about it, and the songs were beautiful and memorable ever since the first time you heard them, without you having to walk into a retail store and hear them over and over again in the toy aisle. The characters are wonderfully likable. Olaf is adorable comedic relief. Elsa and Anna have a great sister relationship. Kristoff and Sven are a great buddy duo. The Boulder Trolls are adorable. The story, while it may have some issues, still really holds up really well, enough to make Disney fans start their own conspiracies that have been validated by Disney producers. But whatever. Frozen is seriously still worth checking out, despite you seeing it everywhere and it getting on your nerves how much you see it in retail stores and whatnot. It's still worth checking out. The songs, the characters, everybody, and even a nice little plot twist in the end with the prince. It was a nice touch. I'm not going to spoil it for you, although probably all of you already know what it is. And despite it being obnoxiously marketable, Frozen is still a Disney movie that is well worth checking out. Number 8, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. At this point in the 90s, the Disney Renaissance was well on its up and up, but came to a crashing halt with Pocahontas, which was really underwhelming. And then Disney was already working on this, and they're like, might as well finish it. But this was a risky movie for them. It was a much darker Disney movie than what they usually do. Despite other Disney movies already having dark moments, this was like a religious dark. At a certain point with the villain, a sexual lust kind of dark. It's crazy. The risks this movie took, and that's one of the reasons it's always stood out to me as one of the better Disney movies. Plus, I really like the story and the characters, especially Quasimodo. A lot of people can relate to this character just feeling ugly and just not accepted in society. Quasimodo is highly relatable, and we can all feel like we've been in Quasimodo's position at one point in time. And as you progress through his story, you see him develop more courage, more compassion for what he wants to do, just to go out there in the world and see what it has to offer. offer despite of all the evil that's in it. A beautifully deep movie. And if it weren't for some of the obnoxious comedy relief, which I still kind of enjoy, but there could have been less of it. I wonder how many times I'm going to say beautiful in this movie, because all Disney movies are beautiful. How about a new word? Gorgeous. This movie looks gorgeous. The animation on everything, the cathedral, the city, and along with a dark, twisted storyline, it really stands on its own. Check out Hunchback in Notre Dame, and you might find something you genuinely like. Number 7. WreckIt Ralph. I was unbelievably excited for this movie when it was announced because of all the video game cameos that were going to make an appearance, including Sonic the Hedgehog, and everyone was legitimately excited for this, and arguably it was one of the first genuinely good video game-based movies, because we've had guilty pleasures in the past, but this was the first one I think genuinely feels like an actually good movie through and through. Now, did it overplay the cameos? Yes, it did. But honestly, that's just a bonus to see all your favorite video game characters in this movie, because the story is an absolute blast, and the new characters that they give you are really likable. Fix-It Felix, Vanellope Von Schweetz, WreckIt Ralph. Everybody here is so likable and so adorable. It was a new thing to have a villain be the main character and eventually become the hero. Yeah, whatever, Maleficent did this too, but this movie was miles better than that could ever be. From its creative video game-inspired landscapes and satires and cameos, this movie is well worth checking out and has a beautiful moral in the end for anybody who feels like they're a bad person, but deep down, if someone likes you, how bad can you be? Number 6. Tangled. Funnily enough, this was after The Princess and the Frog, and Disney wanted to do more 2D films, but they decided, whatever, that wasn't as big a hit as we wanted it to be. But Disney decided, hey, we can still make a beautiful Disney movie with traditional Disney magic, just in CGI format. Just because The Wild and Chicken Little were absolute garbage, we can still make it happen. And, you know what? It paid off. Again, the characters, memorable and likable. The story, it's a really good story, especially when it's based on a classic fairy tale about a girl with super long hair. I mean, I was wondering what they were going to do with this, and it really paid off. And now there's a debate of whether or not Frozen is better than this movie. Some areas, yeah, it can be, but you know what? I just personally really like Tangled so much more. The songs are just as memorable to me, the characters are even more likable, the story feels much more solid, and it's just beautiful all around. You know what, there's a few Disney movies that have tear-jerking moments, but just give me a little, like, aw feeling inside. This was one of those few Disney movies that made me well up and just, look, I lost it. I cried a little bit. It was such a subtle and beautiful moment that you see, and you're just like, God. And it was just really well done. And the villain is a genuinely twisted villain, and I'm not going to get into it, but if you genuinely listen and look at how the villain talks to Rapunzel, her daughter, you can see how messed up it is. And it's a really nice spin on the traditional Disney villain. If you don't want to check out Frozen, but you still haven't seen Tangled, honestly, go ahead and check this one out because it's really well worth your time. 5.5. And what do I mean by that? It was because I didn't know where to put this movie on the list, and I want to include all these movies on the list at some point. So here's my favorite Disney movie that lies quite literally right down the middle, a Goofy movie. Good God, I love this movie. I have watched it so many times. It's not as groundbreaking as a lot of these Disney movies usually are, but it's just so worth watching. I love the music, I love the characters, I love the show Goof Troop, and this felt like Goof Troop the movie, but it really wasn't, but all the same I still like to think that. The characters are wonderful. It just shows that Goofy was the most awesome out of the Mickey, Donald, Goofy trio. I mean, he got 2 of his own movies. I watch this movie so often, I just love it every time I do. And even though he's quite a bit of a jerk, Max is highly relatable, and Goofy's just Goofy. Goofy isn't stupid, he might be clumsy and a bit doofy at times, but he has genuine heart. He knows what he's talking about, and he just wants to bond with his son, be the best dad he can be, despite him being as clumsy as he is, and that's a wonderful thing. And by the end, they find a mutual respect and love for each other, and again, makes me cry every time, and it's wonderful. Plus, the music is absolutely classic, and I think I said to someone before that the song After Today just trumps anything the High School Musical franchise ever put out. Just 100%, and I just love all the music in this movie. The story's great, the character's great, the music's great. This is just a great movie all around, and I highly recommend it. Number 5. Lilo and Stitch. I'm a crystal. Aloha, everybody. Okay, I'm gonna stop doing that impression because I'll probably annoy half of you if I did that the whole time. Anyway, Lilo and Stitch. While it doesn't have a lot of original music as it relies on a lot of classic Elvis tracks, and that's fine, the thing that holds this movie up strongly are the relationships between the memorable characters, specifically Lilo and Stitch and Lilo and Nani, her sister. With Lilo and Stitch, it's a bonding process, and Lilo doesn't have any friends, and this is the first person that genuinely begins to understand her, despite honestly him being a complete asshole, being that's how he was genetically engineered as an alien weapon. With Lilo and Nani, it's a real life situation. I don't want to spoil it for you, but when you get down to it and you see what they're going through, it's a real life situation that could happen. And you can see these characters go through this, and it seems so genuine and just real. Plus, I just love Stitch. He starts off as a jerk, but he's still unbelievably likable and just a little mini badass. I'm going to do your impressions I can do. The story is great, the characters are really memorable, and it has enough space action and aliens to keep anybody interested all the way through. Check out Lilo and Stitch and see what I'm talking about. Number 4. Mulan. The more I think about it, the more I really enjoy this movie, especially the characters. It's a really well done story, and its vast, epic battle sequences. It's so cool. And it was really groundbreaking in my opinion. Does anybody remember Brave, the rebellious girl heroine that everybody was really looking forward to seeing because it seemed so new? Did everybody just decide to forget about Mulan? She was the first badass animated Disney chick to really do something for herself and go for her goals. She's really genuinely admirable for that. And still, while not ethically, politically correct to have a black comedian voice a Chinese dragon, I still really enjoy Eddie Murphy as Mushu. He is hilarious, and I just absolutely adore his performance here all the way through. While the villain is incredibly one-note, he's still badass and intimidating enough to be memorable in your book, even though you can never remember his name. Songs are great, especially a certain one, but again, the copyright infringement is a bitch. But trust me when I say Mulan is really well worth your time. Number 3. Aladdin. I really enjoyed this one as a kid. It was funny, it had so much action and adventure, it had great songs. It was perfect for everyone, it had something for everybody. Aladdin himself is a great and relatable character. Jasmine is one of the few Disney princesses with a genuinely memorable personality. All the comedy relief is so memorable. Abu, Iago, Genie, everyone here is wonderful. Jafar, talk about a badass villain. It has an incredible sense of adventure. The comedy is absolutely hilarious, and Robin Williams, rest in peace. You will always be remembered. I always adore your performance here as Genie. It's unforgettable. You'll never be forgotten. Full of action, adventure, hilarious and heartwarming moments, and gorgeous songs. It's a safe bet that Aladdin is what you need to check out. Number 2. Zootopia. Now, you may think I'm jumping on a bandwagon for this one because a lot of people really love this movie. And yeah, one of the critical praises was best Disney movie since The Lion King. But, I can see why. I really love this movie all the way through. It has an unbelievably unprecedented amount of creativity. Just in the city of Zootopia itself alone, there are so many details just to absorb all at once that you need to watch it over and over again to even catch those little details. And plus, the story is really good. It's a great cop mystery, and that's different for a Disney movie, honestly. It's really well done, and it's got quite a few fun twists and turns just when you think the movie's over. More things happen, you're like, oh my god. There's a lot more going on here than I originally thought. This movie is absolutely hilarious. I was laughing my ass off so many times. Just from all the hilarious moments and jokes and just background details. So funny. Characters are highly memorable and relatable. I love Judy Hopps, and Nick Wilde is easily the best Sly Fox type of character they could come across. Finnick, Clawhauser, Flash, wonderfully memorable and highly likable. And there's just so many things in this movie that are just highly enjoyable, especially from the social commentary, from the DMV scene all the way to the point of realizing, wow, this movie is actually covering a lot of issues dealing with discrimination and racism. And it's great that they're covering this in not such an in-your-face way, but just enough to make you realize, yeah, this is an issue, and this movie did a great job with that. A great story, memorable characters, beautiful morals, and It's just an incredible journey all the way through. Zootopia is 100% worth checking out, and it really shows that Disney still has quite a few years left under its belt for awesome animated Disney movies. Check out Zootopia and see what I'm raving about. And the #1 animated Disney movie is The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. Calm down, people, calm down. But honestly, I just couldn't pick between the two. I love both of these movies equally. They're so perfect in my eyes. They both have incredibly memorable characters, beautiful morals, grandeur, and incredible animation. Glorious settings from the landscapes to the ballroom, unique and menacing villains, hilarious comedy relief, and absolutely timeless stories. Incredible what both of these movies have accomplished. And years later they got 3D re-releases, and they're wonderful. They're 100% wonderful because they are easily the best Disney movies out there. While Lion King didn't win Best Picture award doesn't mean it didn't deserve it. It did so much with its story and so much with its characters, and Beauty and the Beast did the same thing. Belle's one of the few Disney princesses that has a unique and beautiful personality and is strong enough to do what she needs to do and is able to fend for herself. And technically speaking, so is Nala. The journey of Simba is a tragic one, starting off as young and confident, then suddenly losing his father in the most heartbreaking scene in animation ever, throwing his life away to gluttonous laziness. And despite of how perfect a life it is, until finally he is shown the way, he knows what he has to do and he goes and confronts his fears. Beast is an absolute jerk, and through him and Belle bonding, he slowly becomes a much better person and someone that Belle can genuinely feel and care for and eventually come to love. These two movies are completely beautiful in every single way. They created likable and memorable characters, gorgeously memorable songs, Be Our Guest, Hakuna Matata, songs that have been used and replayed and sung for over 20 years. It's an unbelievably incredible feat that Disney pulled off with both of these movies. When the live-action remakes come along, they better not mess it up. Both of these are my top 1 Disney animated movies ever. Probably could have called this a top 12 list, but who gives a shit? There's just so many Disney movies that I genuinely adore, and it just happened to be these 12. And I had to squish it into that top 10 list just to stay in my formula somehow. Comment below what your favorite Disney movie is. This has been a Way Fast Review, and we'll see you next time on Team Epic Force. Goodbye.